Well, hello, my parking money friends. Thank you for joining us again on our continual search for a great price on a car. And we appreciate you being here. And we've got some friends in with us today that have just a ton of knowledge. And we're going to try to squeeze a little out of them and just, get a good march forward on this project of continually finding the right vehicle and studying the right vehicle and looking for good buys that we can buy in the market and hopefully turn around and possibly later on resell in the market. So we're excited about getting past this election. We're excited about Bitcoin being in six figures, like you said today, and of course, this economy is fixing to take off, and we're excited about that. And we're seeing the car market go from a little bit flat to hopefully a better place than where we've seen it in the past. So we'll just continue on. But joining me is my co-host Brian Barr,
hey guys.
And he was the MC yesterday on a toy drive we had for our folks up in Western North Carolina.
Up in Burnsville.
Toys
for Western North Carolina.
Toys for Western North Carolina. We paraded about 100 cars up there.
It was over 120. That's when they quit counting.
Is that right?
And the convoy was over 2 miles long.
Is that right?
Yeah. And I saw 3 oh my God moments with people when they were stopped on the side of the highway, look gawking at us as they're charging down an on-ramp. I'm like, oh man, that truck's gonna get taken out in front of me.
It was
didn't happen.
It was a great day. And the really cool part for me was as we were pulling up, there was a ton of Western North Carolina flood victims with their kids lined up, probably 100 cars long, waiting to get in, and you guys were so organized and so special, and it was great. You know, they got everybody in. The kids got to come in, pick whatever they wanted for Christmas.
Bicycles.
I mean, they were just absolutely loaded. And people were walking away with huge
wheelbarrows. Literally, we had wheelbarrows to take stuff to the car. Bicycles. Nice. There's a lot of need out there.
Oh, a lot of need. You know, and the thing about it is we talk about parking money, but you know, that was parking money for charity, and God, it felt so good. You know, it's so good to just watch all those folks and see the appreciation and the joy in their faces and their kids' faces. It was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Santa flew in on a helicopter.
We had 3 helicopters.
Yeah, 3 helicopters.
3 helicopters.
Yeah, Cindy Lou Who, the Grinch, a little train ride thing.
It was nuts. Yeah, it was great. But my 2 guests this week are great friends of mine, and we've all part of the car club that we have over here in our neighborhood, and we show up on the 1st, 3rd, and 5th Saturdays in our neighborhood and just all meet, and got a bunch of great guys. And you know, I always dreamed of as I grew older, of being around just a really bunch of good old guys, and I feel like we've accomplished that. We have a bunch of really smart cats, and really enjoy. My first guest, of course, is Bob Guth. Bob is a Ferrari collector. He has the Garage Mahal right now. I mean, truly does.
You're catching me quickly.
I don't know about that, buddy. I don't know if I ever stand a chance of that deal. But your place is fabulous, and thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And my good friend Dan Cassinelli. You know, he's an Italian, so him being a Ferrari collector is no stretch. I mean, he's got some great cars, and he's had some Ford GTs and different things. What did you start out with, Dan, early on?
I was into the muscle cars.
Yeah, okay.
So, those old Chevelles, Camaros.
Right.
Actually, the first thing I got into, because my father's Italian, was Fiats.
Oh, nice.
124 Sports and things like that. That was exciting. But as I got older, I got into the American cars, And then because my father is all about Ferrari,
Yeah, yeah.
eventually I was able to get some Ferraris. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
my.
Did
my
you
dream.
have a problem early on with the Fiats of actually finding parts?
yeah,
I
that's
remember
why
back
they-
in the day we used to buy some wreck ones and rebuild my dad's body shop, and boy, finding parts was just a bear.
Parts and always in the shop.
Yeah.
Fix it again,
Fix it
Tony.
again,
right?
Tony.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But they were fun to drive. They had all the gauges on the dash.
Oh, yeah.
The old sports cars.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah, yeah. If you
Yeah.
if you watch the Ford v Ferrari movie, you know you can see how Ferrari, or actually Fiat, stepped in front of Ford and bought Ferrari back in the day, and that was a big deal for Fiat. And Fiat became eventually didn't Volkswagen eventually buy them out? Or
I think at one point, no.
Stellantis is now.
Yes.
Stellantis.
Yeah.
What is that?
Chrysler.
Chrysler.
Oh no kidding!
Fiat.
I didn't realize. Oh yeah. That
Renault.
That's yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
All the cars that aren't sold in America.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. That.
What about you, Bob? What was your first round with car collecting?
We were just talking about it yesterday. My first car was a '67 Mustang. I bought it in 1979. And we were joking because we're working on another project now, and I remember taking apart that '67 Mustang 12 years after it was built, and it was just rotted through. There was nothing, hardly anything left of it. But it was a great project. That was my high school project. I eventually ended up buying a second car that I used as a parts car. And, we got the first one on the road, and I enjoyed that for a little while during high school. And for a little while, then I stuck with American cars, but eventually came around to the European cars. as well.
Yeah. Now, was it a '67 Mustang Fastback or a coupe?
Just a straight coupe.
straight coupe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Straight coupe.
That to me, those '67, '68 Mustangs with the taillights on those cars were just I loved them. It was so spectacular.
I agree.
But they were great cars. What got you into the aspect of collecting cars? I mean, obviously, was it a financial decision, or was it a love of the car decision, or did it go from one to the other over time?
Yeah, I think I've always been mostly a collector, just a buyer and a holder.
Right.
I've collected books. I've collected baseball cards. You know, we all collect different things. And
Yeah.
Finally, in my life, I had a chance to be a true car collector.
Yeah.
But that chance didn't come till much later in life.
Yeah.
Earlier, I always enjoyed buying unique cars, buying cars that you didn't see every day.
Yeah.
I had a couple of fun projects as I was, building a family and growing up. But I never really had a chance to do
Yeah.
what we're doing now.
Yeah. Right.
So this all started closer to probably 10 years ago or so.
Yeah.
I really had a chance to start collecting.
And right now we're seeing pictures of Bob's collection, and then later we'll see pictures of Dan's collection. But it was funny because when I went toy shopping for the kids this weekend, I was in Walmart and went into the toy department. And of course, I got to the Hot Wheels. Right. Well, guess what? I stopped. I was there probably 15, 20 minutes.
Yep.
I was sitting there looking at
That's
all the
probably
different cars.
where I should have started because there wasn't a Hot Wheel or any kind of car I wouldn't buy when I was this big.
Oh, yeah.
I was always at the cars. So
Oh, yeah.
the Hot Wheels and all those collectible. I still have a bunch of collectible cars in a cabinet.
My grandmother used to tell my wife that I would, those old rugs that were kind of oval shaped, old throw rugs.
Yeah, those rag rugs.
Rag rugs. I would take one of those rugs and I'd roll it up so I'd have banking on it. And I would run Matchbox cars around that rug and
And the loop-de-loop. Don't forget the
hours,
loop-de-loop.
hours. Oh yeah, man. And the Sizzlers. Remember the Sizzlers?
Yep.
Yeah, the little electric cars that
The Apex cars.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was cool
A lot
stuff.
of fun.
We had this stairway in this old Victorian house.
Yeah.
And we'd put the Hot Wheel track up, down around my cousins. It's not that.
And drag race down the stairs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But there was always that one kid with the Johnny Lightning stuff.
Oh
Remember
yeah.
that?
Yeah. And then just show up and just smoke your ass. And make you so mad. Make you so mad. Now that you went on and of course, great collection now, but what got you to thinking about starting that build? And
Well, it was an evolution. I'd always had a vision in my head of building some type of car barn, some type of barn dominium. And I started with a rented garage, and then I moved to a slightly larger rented garage. And when you go through those iterations, you know finally what you need. And what I really was looking for that I didn't have in the prior spaces wasn't so much about space, but more about separation. It's nice to have a showroom and then a separate workspace, obviously, so you're not covering all your cars with dust as you're working on projects. And it's also nice to have a truly set aside social area, so you can make the whole thing a gathering area.
Yeah, we've drank many a bourbon over at Bob's shop.
Absolutely,
and we absolutely love it. And you know, we've got ours. They broke ground on ours the other day, so we hope.
That's great.
So within this next year, maybe we'll actually get to see something put together.
It's going to be amazing.
It'll be kind of nice.
I thought I didn't know you kept moving forward with that. Good.
Oh yeah. I'm going to be right next to Bill Dembestis.
Okay.
Yeah. You know,
Nice.
He stepped in on that girl that had Street Side Classics. Your old boss. What was her? Donna.
I forget. Yeah, one for John.
Bob. Exactly. Yeah. Yes, that was they were. They got going.
So you're telling me when I come in the neighborhood, I got to do this, right?
Well, they won't be there. They won't be there because Bob.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Oh, so no.
Yeah, they won't be there. Yeah.
They're good. They're good folks.
So you got that going for you.
They're good. They're great folks.
Good folks. Yeah, no doubt. Now, have you seen anything lately that really strikes you as far as how the economy is evolving and what's going on with the because I know you know, I think everybody was so depressed going into this winter that, you know, worried to death about the economy and everything else, and it really drove down the price of a lot of things, not just cars, but I mean real estate and you know, what has been your take there?
Well, I sold my Ford GT
Yeah.
probably about 8 months ago, right at the worst point. But I had a car in mind. I had to have it, and you know, my wife said, "Get rid of one, get another." So I took a little bit of a bath on the Ford GT.
Yeah, and that was
sorry to see it.
Say it, that was a really bad car. Dan had bought a Ford GT and it had the Guth livery put on it and painted on it, and it wasn't just a regular body shop that did it. They actually, those guys did an unbelievable job.
It was the original people that built the Ford GT for Ford.
Right.
And GT guys,
Yeah.
and they're still in business, and that's all they work on is Ford GTs.
Ford GTs.
So they took it apart like an Erector set,
Yeah.
painted
Right.
inside out. Everything was painted on the stripes, the numbers.
It was a first.
It was spectacular.
It's better than the real Heritage.
Oh, I would
disagree.
believe so.
Yeah.
The interior was all Alcantara suede. It was done correctly.
Yep.
Unfortunately, nobody thought that was good enough to pay more money for, right?
I think a lot of it, Dan, was just the timing. I think the timing was not great.
Well, the timing was bad, but you know, this industry is a little fickle because they rather buy a Heritage that has stickers on it that was original,
right.
And I understand that. There's a lot of people that looked at that way.
Yeah.
But if you look at a car like I did, that was done to perfection. So you have to find the right guy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
But
no doubt.
you know, 20 years from now, I think the original is going to do better than
the
car that I did. So I understand that. But
Now Bob he has gotten into restoration, and he has bought an Aston Martin, and he bought a Ferrari F430 3-pedal not too long ago.
Yeah.
And tell me about your Aston Martin and what kind of experience you're having. So.
Yeah, it's a neat car, and I'll back up and talk a little bit about why I love these kinds of projects. And it's a little contrary to the theme of the discussion here. You know, you can't really buy a car that's in project state and do a full proper restoration on it and make money on it. It's just too expensive to do a proper restoration.
It takes too much time.
Yeah. And so this one is a you know, it's definitely a project, but it's got really solid bones. And it's a very, very rare and fairly important car in the sense that it's one of the early 3-carb DB4s. They didn't call them Vantage then, but it's eventually what became known as the Vantage option.
Right.
And it's also a one-of-one color. It's a very unique blue color. So it's going to be a great project, and we bought it last year, and with all the moves from garage, you know, into the new garage, didn't have as much time to dig into it, but finally, I'm doing that now. with help from good friends. And Don spent a good bit of time with me yesterday. We took apart the intake assembly and the exhaust manifold, and we're getting it ready as right after the new year. We're going to pull the engine and start tearing into that.
Have you found somebody really good to rebuild the motor?
Yeah, we're going to work with Pedro.
Pedro.
Yeah, he's ready to go. He was over there this past week, and he's excited to start right after the new year. He's finished with Gibbs. He's building his mobile van, and he's, as you all know, he's got the skills.
Oh, he does. No question.
So yeah, he's eager to dive in, and that's part of why we've stepped up the pace on tearing it down, so we can get it right out.
Yes.
Now, I personally have restored 3 cars, and I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. It is a job, I promise you. And the thing about it is, you have to be way more patient than I am. Bob's a perfect example of patience. But I was one of those guys. I wanted to see it done. You know, I'm like,
What does that sound like?
oh God. And
You know, let me add one more thing, because I do think, getting to the heart of why we love what we all do together, in addition to meeting great friends like you said earlier, Mike, it's a neat way to leave something better on the planet.
I don't disagree.
Even if it's just within our own little world that we care about it.
Right.
I know this car, if I didn't buy it, maybe somebody else would have bought it and done a good job. But I know it's going to, when I leave it, it's going to be one of the best DB4s on the planet.
Oh, I don't doubt. I have no
And
doubt.
so that makes me feel good. That's part of what I get out of the house.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's very cool.
You know, my problem was I was doing Datsuns. The Datsuns, I mean, you can hear them rust. They were rusting when they came over on the boat.
Exactly.
How does that sound, Mike?
I mean, it's like,
And how, Coach? That's great.
Listen carefully. There's 4 or 5 of them over there.
putting right up there. Yeah, but it's a DB4 is a lot more solid car, and of course that's aluminum body on that car, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really unique structure. It's the Superleggera structure, so it's got a steel platform and a quasi kind of steel birdcage frame.
Right.
That's very lightweight, meaning Superleggera.
Yeah.
And then they wrap the aluminum around it, so there's
Yeah,
no
right.
welding, no rivets. It's just wrapped around it. And
Really? So it's not even riveted to the
not
to
at
the
all.
chassis?
No.
Really?
So to remove it, to do the proper job on the frame
Yeah.
and the body, you have to basically peel the aluminum off the car.
Oh,
which is
really?
what we're going to get started doing here.
So you're going to have somebody come back in and rebuild the body?
Yeah, they won't have to rebuild it as much as they'll probably have to redo around the edges as they peel it back.
yeah, right.
Aluminum can get brittle. They'll do everything they can to keep it from getting brittle.
Tig it together.
Yeah, and,
Because I mean, you look at that polished aluminum car over there, you can actually see the TIG marks in it.
Right.
Where they welded it together across the top of the fenders. But you got to kind of get back and look at it in the right light, because you can't see it otherwise.
Have you started to pull any of that off? I wonder if there's going to be like a bimetallic corrosion in there. Is it?
There is a little bit. It's interesting, not to go too deep here, but the way they did it, these were, of course, all hand-built cars in their day. They'd build the steel birdcage frame, and they would wrap it with cotton, and then they would wrap the aluminum around the cotton. So 65 years later, that cotton started to wear down, and in some spots there is a bit of electrolysis there where the two metals are touching.
Yeah.
But we'll get it all that. We'll get that out of there.
Yeah.
Bob, I'm curious, when you wrap it around the frame, it doesn't move, it doesn't shift? I mean, that seems
Yeah, it's
amazing.
I don't want to sound like I could do it or
Right.
even know exactly how they did it, but no, it's just wrapped so tightly that it effectively becomes like a unibody. It's just wrapped
Really?
tightly.
So it's not epoxied or anything like that?
No, gosh, no.
Could you epoxy it and make it any better?
That's a good question. I don't know. I have to think about that.
They make all kinds of
put a few spots
auto-body
here and there
epoxy
so
now.
it stays solid. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that's a good question. I tend to lean towards originality, but that would be underneath the skin, so you
You
wouldn't
just
see
there's
it.
no way to
Yeah.
know that it was original or not.
Right.
They have an epoxy under it. Yeah.
But there's not too many guys around that can do that anymore.
Well, that's part of the challenge. But on past restorations, I've worked with some really great shops. One of them up in Pennsylvania that did the Dino,
The Dino. Yeah.
and I was tempted to take this car there.
Which by the way went to 1,000,001 its class, which was really
Yeah,
something
thanks,
pretty
Mike.
special.
That was a great team there, and but I wanted to make this DB4 a local project. I'll call it a
Right.
Lake Norman project.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so that's my goal, and I do have a couple of folks lined up that I think have the skills that we need to do this body work. it's funny to me. It seems pretty daunting to peel off a body.
Yeah.
But to guys that work with metal all day long,
Oh, yeah.
they don't
Right.
seem too
Yeah.
worried.
Have you ever? I tell you something. I tell you a great thing to do. There is, if you go on YouTube, you can search Kirkham racing or Kirkham bodybuilding, aluminum, and watch the guys from Poland who built the Russian MiG jet bodies build Cobras. And yeah, David Kirkham actually bought that factory in Poland, bought it. And so those people work for him now. And when they went through the whole Ukraine thing and everything, I mean, he was right in the middle of all that, what I understand, and helped support a lot of refugees and different things like that. But to sit there and watch those guys actually build that Cobra body right over there
Out of a flat piece of
It's
steel.
amazing.
it's the Cobra body is, I think it was 8 sheets of 4x8 aluminum.
Wow.
And they had this huge piece of oak tree that was actually cut and CNC'd, computer numeric control, cut just like a Cobra body. And basically they used that big tree as their buck to bend that metal around, and then they would do piece corner at a time, and of course they'd be in there working on it, and it'd be like picking a piece of tin up out there and just bend it with your hands and walk on. I mean, they were just like, it was, of course they did so many of them, and they were doing such small sections at a time.
Well,
It's
the
absolutely
final metal
amazing.
finishing, it's got to be amazing too.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen that wooden bucket, the Cunningham, that was done, which is put together like a big jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
And then Turbo Tim made that aluminum one for a Speedster. So that just fascinates me. That
We were talking about this last night about your Cobras that are aluminum and what goes into making those cars. And unfortunately, some people you look at, it's a kit car, but your cars are not a kit car.
Well,
So it's-
the interesting thing is they kind of are a kit car. I'll tell you why. If you think back in 1965 when Carroll Shelby built a Cobra, okay, he didn't have the federal emissions that he had to deal with. Or he didn't have any crash tests or set it on fire, see if somebody can survive or anything like that, or any regulations he had to pass to get the car on the road. Because cars in the 50s and 60s, I mean, hell, they were just so damn dangerous. You'd die them going down the road. I mean, it was terrible. But he didn't have any of those kind of regulations. So what happened as time evolved, and he felt like there was a market, as all the Cobra builders did, felt like it was a
that was our Haggerty insurance guy, Paul Caparona, is calling into the show.
nice. But as time passed, and
Gotta phone a friend.
right, but as time passed, and they wanted to start building them for the road, building a Cobra. Those things are dangerous as hell. I mean, it scares me every time I get in them. I mean, there ain't no protection whatsoever.
When they raced those back in the day, they didn't want to wear seatbelts because they wanted to be
Be
thrown clear of the accident instead of being in the car.
And that was, and I was watching something on TV the other day, and Formula One was like that. Probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, back in early '80s, it was the thought process was to get thrown clear of the car. Go-kart racing was like it.
Yeah.
I raced go-karts for 20 years.
Well, there's that great film, I think it's on Netflix, that Jackie Stewart's in. I think it's called Stewart. My brain's a little foggy.
Yeah.
But they were losing a guy a weekend.
In the late 60s.
crazy.
Yeah, it was
Crazy.
bad. It was bad. But the point I was getting to is when in later years when Carroll wanted to start building them, Shelby wanted to start building them, he had to rely on the kit car rules. And basically that's why that there was a set of kit car rules that said you could buy a car, but it couldn't have a motor in it. So he could sell you a Cobra, okay, built by Shelby, but with a Kirkham body, which was the same as AC, and comparison to AC out in England, and then sell you the car, and then sell you the motor later, and then you'd be able to license it, and he could sell it with a title, and you get a tag for it.
My point, though, was you can buy, let's call it 12 years from now.
Yep.
You can buy a backdraft body that
Right.
they just throw together and they have a form and stuff like that. Or do you build or take a aluminum body that's handmade, the quality of the build is so much better.
Yeah.
How do you position that with the, with the industry?
And the other distinction that you're getting at too, though, is these have a real serial number on them.
They
These
do.
have a
Yeah,
real
exactly right.
sex number.
The CSX number, which stands for Carroll Shelby Experimental.
Yep.
And and to me, we were at Amelia this past year, and I was in the RM auction down there. I might have been there we were sitting pretty close, I'm sure. And one of the guys asked me if I would come over and bid on one of the Cobras that was there. And so I said, yeah, no problem, I'll bid on it. So I asked him, I said, what do we want to start? And he said 2.3. I said, ooh. I said, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And he said it's going to take a lot more than that to buy it, but he said start 2.3. So we started 2.3, went 2.5. So I'm sitting there dreaming, and I'm sitting there going, I could sell this, and I could sell that, and I could sell this, and then I could buy that car. And so then I went outside and sat in the car and got to looking at it. It was exactly like my car. So I was thinking to myself, why do I want to spend that much money for something that's just old? It's got an ancient serial number on it.
Right.
Same deal. So I quickly talked myself.
It's funny. That's the one thing that bothered me. I had a real Ford GT, and every time I took it, everybody, oh, beautiful car. Is this a kit car? It just
it
just bothered the heck out of me that there are people out there throwing these cars together, and I have the real thing, and everybody thinks it's a kit car. It's just annoying me.
In the after the secondary market with the kit cars, like a factory 5, it's a fine kit, right, for what it is. But the 5.0 Mustang, is a donor and a solid axle, and the fuel injected motor is not that. And there's some folks that just lump them together. And there's also folks that have that car like, I just saw one sold for $300,000. Well, yours is worth 35. I'm sorry.
I think part of the reality is that a lot of folks just don't see the real thing very often. So they naturally
that's what
assume.
it is, because there's only 200 of it.
Right.
There's only like 220 of it.
Yeah, I had that experience with our other Aston Martin, the DB Mark III, at a show, and somebody walked up and said, he started talking about the car. And
Where is that car? I was over at your shop the other day. I didn't see it.
That car is up in Pennsylvania.
It's in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
That's right,
with the
you
same
told me.
folks that did the work on the Dino. We're just doing a little bit of work on the.
Great car.
Which
Great, beautiful.
Dan thinks I'm crazy to do what we're doing, but we'll come back to that. But no, he came up with the car. We talked about
out of it.
No, I'll tell you the story real quick. So that car, number one, I did a small bit of damage to it when we took it out to Pinehurst last spring. So
I remember
that's
it.
the catalyst
In the
for all of
trailer.
this happening. But that car was restored at a time when the normal approach was to make everything as glossy as you could possibly make it.
Right.
And it's a 1958 car, so in 1958 it didn't look like that.
Right.
It still looked great, but it didn't look like it had 6 layers of clear coat on it.
Yeah, right.
So that car, the paint's beautiful, the clear coat is very glossy, and I always wanted to knock it down. I always wanted to make it look more period correct, like the Dino does, for example. And this little ding in the bonnet is the catalyst for doing that. And they don't. It's a long story. I won't bore you with it, but I'll tell you this: they take a little compound like a valve paste, a valve polishing paste,
Right.
and they polish the car with it, and it knocks down the clear.
Oh,
and,
no kidding. Yeah.
And it changes the tone of the color a little bit too, but it makes it look period correct. And I
Really?
told Dan this story the other day, just about tackled me to the ground. It's like,
That car
So
was
you walk into
gorgeous
the
way it was.
You walk into the restoration shop, make hey, I'm going to pay you to make my paint look worse.
by the way, you're
Right.
You say that like it's funny, but it's exactly true. David George, who's restoring the car, his dad created this method of doing this 15 years ago because there was a huge wave of cars of guys saying that they wanted their paint knocked
And
down.
wasn't he the head guy at the Simeon Museum?
He did a lot of the restoration work for the
restorations.
Simeon. Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah,
He's unfortunately passed away, but his son is running the business and doing a great job.
We had dinner with him in Amelia.
Yep.
Great guy.
My buddy Ed
Very
works
nice.
up there. My buddy Ed works
At Simeon's?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
Yeah. And let me tell you something. For Bob to do something like that is unheard of. I mean, this is the most OCD individual I've ever known.
Take that as a compliment.
Well, it's very much a compliment. You know, I would give my, you know what, to have that much OCD in me. I mean, I can't. I'm that's a little too organized for me. But I sat and watched him in his shop walk by a pile of 3 books and adjust them every time he went by. Man, I was like, oh man.
Yeah, thank you for noticing.
Yeah, hey, you know, but like I said, that's something I would absolutely aspire to, but I can't get there. It's just in me. I don't know what the deal is, but so that's gonna happen. So they're gonna polish the shine off of it.
They did. They actually sent me the fuel.
Thank you. They wanted to say they're gonna polish the shine.
That's exactly what they're going to do. You're right.
Yeah.
He sent me the fuel filler door last week, and one half of it was as it was, and the other half was redone.
Nice.
And it's a pretty stark difference. So I'll be very eager to see the car. Should be back here probably right after the new year.
But you know the thing about it is I can't wait to see it done that way, because it's gonna be so period correct.
I know exactly what Dan's going to say. I'm doing the car.
No. At the end of the day, you see how happy you were?
Absolutely.
That is what it's about.
It's all about what you like,
Yeah.
right? Not what I like, and what drives you to do it. And then you can go into your garage and look, and I go, that's the right way to do it.
Well, and honestly, I mean, depending on how much clear's on it, but I mean, you could always take it back if you wanted.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, probably get it real close. Yeah, and you take a chance of rubbing through the clear, but that'd be a little tough.
Well, there was that period too where everybody was just way over restoring cars, and
Yeah,
plating
yeah.
things.
Oh yes.
It's not how they really were.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just like when Bill Riley was here the other week. You know, he said that when his dad passed a few months ago at 93, and as they were redoing that Mark IV, he said his dad would come by during the he'd look at it and say, "Yeah, we really didn't do it that nice." Built the car in 1967.
And he wanted to change things to make it better. Yeah. I was like, no, we can't, because that's not how it was.
Yeah, that was.
I saw that episode, and I saw that car with those big lights in the front. I said,
Yeah.
how much is that car going to be? I might want one. Then when you told me how much, I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah,
it's a little bit much
Well,
for a
that's-
kid car, but it
and-
really isn't a kid car. I don't consider that a kid car.
The downside to that car is as much as it's always been one of my favorite cars. I mean, always, it's a gorgeous car. And that car only raced in 2 races. It won the 12 Hours of Sebring in '67, and then the 24 Hours of Le Mans that same year, won by 32 miles. I think I said 42 on the previous podcast, but it's 32 miles. And so it was a massively significant car. And you know, of course, Bill, the continuation car that Bill is building, you know, I mean, it's straight off of the blueprints from the original car. I mean,
He shared with us.
it's shared with us. Yeah.
It's crazy.
And not only that, but you know, it's built by a guy named Riley, which is him, and back in the day, his dad was the head engineer on it. So it is a absolutely perfect continuation car. But the downside is it's going to be sold on a bill of sale. So you can throw a tag on it right down the road, and of course Haggerty will probably insure it. But you know, it's gonna, you're not gonna go very far in it, because the sad part about it was if you got pulled over or anything like that, I mean, they could feasibly cut the car up because it hadn't been approved to be on the road.
Wow.
And so, you know, that was a concern when I was talking to him about maybe doing one. And so you know, that's the only downside.
They got to sell it to Bob. He just keeps it in the garage.
Exactly right. Yeah.
I was thinking just that, actually.
That's FIA approved. You go racing.
Yeah. I told Bill that over there that day. I said, Bill, the problem is if I buy a thing, it's a couch. You know, it's basically a piece of furniture. You know, and
The same uniqueness is its upside as well. So,
oh yeah,
you know,
no
it's
question.
that,
No
like,
question.
it's as close as it was ever going to get to that car.
car.
It's got real pedigree.
Real
I love that. They
Right,
use-
right down to the wood block on, for the dead pedal, because it was a little too far off for one of the drivers.
Yeah.
I just love that they use their own casting to make it exact.
Oh, it's
And
amazing.
that's just amazing what
And-
what you guys went through during that episode. I was floored.
The story of the 707 windshield wiper motors. Bill's like, here's a crate of them.
Yeah, he actually had them in
That's
his
crazy.
shop.
Wow.
There's 5 left on the plant, and he's got all 5 of them.
Yeah. The lights are gate code correct marshals that they got from car crash. It's just it's mind blowing.
Yeah.
Those front lights are amazing.
Yeah.
So you would think something that big would look awkward, but when you look at it on the car, it works. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And you think about, and I told somebody the other day, I said, if they ever come out with a Ford v Ferrari 2 and show the 67 and even the 68, 69 race, that car will suddenly be worth a ton. It'd be worth a ton.
You don't see that version of that car anywhere.
No.
I mean, you see the
Well, they
GT
like I said,
that, but
they
not
raced
like
it
that.
twice, and then they outlawed the 427 right after the race in '67. And the interesting thing, and I didn't find this out till this past weekend, but the interesting thing, the car that won in '68 and '69 is the same car.
Really?
Not as the same car as Bill's car.
Yeah.
But it was a Mark I. But it is the same car that won both those races. Rob Walton of Walmart, the owner of Walmart, or son of Sam. Was it Sam?
Sam, yeah, that's right.
He owns the car, and if you want to show it, just to show it, you have to buy a $100 million insurance policy.
That's
Yeah.
it's good you supported him buying the toys for the kids.
Million.
At Walmart. Yeah, right. At Walmart, yeah, absolutely. Everything ties in.
Everything ties together.
Right, exactly.
Everything is only 6 degrees off.
It's really worth $100 million.
It's
It's the only car. It's the only.
That's more than the GTO.
Wow. It's the only car ever to win Le Mans twice.
Yeah, it's irreplaceable. So
It was
it
never.
also could be a deterrent for him not wanting to go to too.
Right. It was number 6 in the '68 Le Mans and number 9, or is number 9 in the '68 Le Mans, number 6 in the '69 Le Mans.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was it's a special piece.
Yeah, they're very special.
Yeah. So and the thing about it is, I mean, you get out here and you search this stuff and you start researching this stuff, and you find as much history as you can on everything. It's fascinating, the stuff that comes to pass. I mean, we have these dang old Z cars when we did our deal on them was and what's amazing to me is the people that come out of the woodwork that are fascinated by the cars and just have to have.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we had a 10th anniversary in my Z car collection. We had a 10th anniversary 1980 280ZX, and they built 3,000 of those cars, and 2,500 black and gold ones and 500 red and black ones. And in the Z car community, always befuddled us, why the 2 different numbers? Why did they build so much of one and so little of the other? Well, the reason was, and we found this out when we found that car, was that the 2,500 black and gold ones meant that the 1,250 dealers that they had in the United States at the time, each of them got 2 cars. And the 500 red and black ones went to the top 500 dealers. And so this dealer, Jerry Lane, who was a Datsun Chevrolet dealer, he gets the car, and he looked at it as a trophy. And it wasn't a car to him. He had tons of cars, but it was a trophy. So he basically pushed it back in a warehouse, threw a blanket over it, and it sat there for 40 years. And I found it with 12 miles on it. And
you're effectively the first owner, right? It was never sold.
no, it was on the title, so I guess
okay.
wasn't the first owner. But I'm not sure how exactly that worked, but it had 12 miles on it. I think Hilton Head, I had to drive from the parking lot up to the show field, so that put another 12 miles on it.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
So I doubled the miles in one trip. Ruined it. Yeah, ruined it. And but this cat shows up at the auction, and he was from Saudi Arabia, and he looked at me and he said, that's my car. He said, I'm going to own that car. He said, it makes no difference what it sells for.
I should have been in the audience.
Nice.
Yeah, I told him, I said, boy, I sure hope there's one more guy here just like you. and he set a world record. So I mean, he was dead on. That he was going.
Did he win it?
Oh, he did. Yeah. He just sat there on the front row holding his hand up. He just didn't never took it down.
Wow.
Just whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy.
Well, we were talking earlier, and you saying Saudi Arabia just clicked in my mind. Did you see the car collection that recently was in the news?
Yes. Oh, go ahead. Excuse me.
Yeah. Well,
What was it?
Well, when it's the Assad family,
Yeah.
right? When that all turmoil happened,
Yeah.
they got into the garage of the cars that he had.
Oh boy.
F-50.
F-50.
No kid, I ain't seen
A
that.
lot of crazy stuff. But
Lot
the
of-
F-50 stood out.
Really?
Yeah.
So what did they destroy them? What?
No,
did
no. They're property of whatever state. I guess.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Really?
Cars.
They took the cars.
Oh.
Well, no. He had to abdicate. He left.
Yeah.
He left the country.
Yeah, he packed up and left.
This was in the
Wow.
national palace, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the new government, as you said, will take ownership and probably see him in an auction here. And
Yeah.
No
next
kidding.
Yeah.
Now I remember seeing that on a YouTube video, that collection, and oh my God, it was unbelievable. It was endless. I mean, it was probably 200-300 cars.
Man, the F-50 really is one that jumped out at me.
Yeah.
So wait, why is that on the news?
So is this a power takeover in Saudi Arabia? Is that what it was?
Syria.
Syria.
In Syria. Oh, okay. So it wasn't Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, no, that's how my train of thought works.
Oh yeah.
I
6 degrees of separation.
I just keep thinking about him leaving the country and leaving his cars. It's like if you had a fire in your house, of course you think your wife, your dogs, then the cars. It would be difficult to figure out what you get first.
He didn't have a lot of time to think about it.
Wouldn't be hard for me at all, honey.
Just want to let you know right now.
Wouldn't be hard for me at all.
So yeah, set you up. Thank you later.
The wife, the dog, and the kid are the other side of the table.
I did say wife, dog. Oh, I don't.
As long as you happen to be sitting in
my
the Ford,
daughter's outside the house.
as long as you happen to be sitting in the Ford GT when the fire starts, you're safe. You're safe.
That's probably the best thing to do.
cars! What did you first? Jump and get in the car. Great idea.
Just every night before you get there, honey, what's your favorite car?
Yeah, exactly right. Well, guys, I appreciate y'all stopping in today and having some conversation with us, and we'll invite you back. So
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, and do this again. So
You started the show with politics in the end.
yeah, well, we did, unfortunately. Yeah, but that's kind of how it
We're going to
works.
get demonetized on YouTube here.
If I'm not careful, yeah.
Are we actually getting monetized?
They're not going to be out any money if they demonetize. So it's going to be good. We really enjoy doing this, as you can tell, and I enjoy bringing folks in and getting their opinions on different things, and you guys are a wealth of knowledge, and I appreciate that, and I get to see these guys every weekend, and we enjoy meeting and discussing our car. We have a group of probably 60, 70 people sometimes.
that's right.
Yeah, just shows up with the cars, and everybody's got good stuff, and everybody's all time trying to do charity work and doing what we can to help the world be a better place, and I thoroughly enjoy that, and it's really kind of been my dreams come true, just kind of get to hang out with a bunch of really good guys. And then this past weekend. All right, now I got to talk about this before we go. Tell me a little bit about this weekend. Y'all had the gas pedal gals. Tell me something about that.
Yeah, thanks.
We weren't there because we were up in the mountains, so
Right.
we didn't get to see it.
Right. I'm sorry we missed you, but thanks for bringing it up. My wife, Sherry, working with Gina, Dan's wife, and Debbie, your wife, and quite a few of the other wives in our car group, planned this event called Gas Pedal Gals. And she's been thinking about it for a long time. This was the inaugural kind of kickoff event for it.
Right.
And this time they kept it pretty simple, just to test the theories and see how folks enjoyed it. They went on a real nice but short ride on Saturday, and then they stopped at a great restaurant nearby here, and they were all planned ahead and were real generous with the wait staff there. and made 3 Christmases a whole lot better. So it's kind of a neat experience. I think everybody really enjoyed it. This is the first of what will be many of these, and I think what we'll see them do over time is add to the charitable aspect of it, raising money for good causes and involving folks.
What was Gina's take on it?
She enjoyed it. It was, I like that Sherry made a little drive before going to the restaurant. I think next time they have to get on the cars a little bit more. And I was happy to see I bought her a Ferrari Roma and she never uses it.
Yeah,
If this can be a way of her enjoying the car and doing events, I think it would be great.
Well, and Debbie told me one of our other neighbors was there, and she made the commitment. She wants to do it every year.
Yeah.
And Debbie also was sharing with me the situation that the 3 waitresses were in. All 3 of them relatively young.
That's right.
Were in a difference. And and the thing about it is you see people all the time, and you can't pry into people's lives, so it's sometimes it's difficult. But boy, anytime you can help somebody and they went in and actually got the owner of the restaurant to pick out 3 employees that would need the help.
Yeah, 3 that he thought was most.
Gina has a picture of those 3 women. Is it 3 women? Or?
Yes.
You're
I think it
looking
was
at
3 women. Yeah, she showed me the picture, and their face when they realized what they got, it absolutely changed their Christmas and what they can do, and I'm sure a lot went through their mind when they got it. So I'll send a picture to Dustin. I think that picture says a lot.
Yeah. And they're going to do it twice a year.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. Nice.
And again, next time there'll be a focus on some type of charitable event as well, in addition to doing the lunch aspect.
We're going to have Matt McSwain and his partner on here in a couple of weeks and talk about the whole Western North Carolina deal. We did a couple of campers and put it up there. I know those people. Those people. And Matt sent me this picture of this little girl on a bed in a camper, and she had slept outside for 6 weeks. Wow, and it just bitter cold, and she didn't want to leave the bed. I mean, because it meant that much. It was crazy.
It was up there this Saturday when you see people and you're like, they're all everybody's in new clothes, and you're like, oh wait, it's because they lost everything.
Yeah.
And you gotta. We're making a difference.
Oh yeah.
We should be helping every single person.
And that and we talk about parking money. But there's a reason you park money. You park money so you can get to do stuff like that, and you can go and help people, and of course help yourself along the way. With making great investments, but that you can go help people because that heartwarming, particularly when you get around the holidays like we are now. Oh yeah, there's nothing better.
I had a big change in my life a couple weeks ago, and it was nothing. Starting a new business. I'm like, my head's exploding. It humbled me to be up there.
Right.
I didn't realize how fortunate my problems were.
Yeah, right.
Because they're easy to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate you tuning in to us today. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe. Smash the button and set your notification bell that when we come out with new content, you'll get a notification on it. And we're going to try to one of the things that we've got planned coming up, just to kind of give you a little preview, is we're getting out in the field. We're going to start visiting cars and coffees of different shows around here, and we're going to just ride around on the golf cart and just pick out great cars with and have the owners tell us the stories about their vehicles, and then we may actually bring some of them in the studio and talk about them, later on, kind of like Mr. Leno does, which I'm a big fan of. Yeah. And so that's our one of the things that we hope we can do, and we're going to try to really get better at that and get good at it. And so we've got that coming up, and we're excited about that.
And didn't you guys know where our car show is the first, third, and fifth Saturdays?
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So guys, keep parking money, and tune in to us when you can, and like and subscribe, and share the videos with people. We really would appreciate it. And we hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and a Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year, and we will see you next time around.